Hi, welcome to everyone. My name is Federico. This is my first video and hopefully the first of a very long and successful series of videos. But let's start to explain you guys why I'm recording this video. Everything started 5 years ago when I bumped into a book of Carl Gustav Jung called Mysterium Conjunctionis. Since the first pages, this book shook the basement of all my beliefs, certainties and mindset, putting me on a journey where I started to look for answers about our lives on this planet, and ended up reading books that I would never imagine to be so tightly linked. Books of poetry, art, science, philosophy, psychology, history, etc., etc. All of that because, yes, Jung gave me a great shock, but he left me with the hope, the confidence, and the strength to keep digging in what I wasn't aware, and trust always in the new path. Before that, I was an ordinary guy, skeptical about society, smoker, heavy drinker, football fan, saving up money for the next trip across the world, or just for the sake of it. Because, we all know in this world, they are trying to make you believe in the motto, money prevails. I was in a good place, and alcohol and cigarettes, they were just anesthetic for a very deep and bad feeling that I couldn't describe back then. But slowly, book after book, experience after experience, I can say that I'm in a better place and understand why Pinocchio says at the end of the novel how ridiculous I was as a marionette and how happy I am. Now they have become a real boy. Obviously, the author, Collodi, speaks to us through metaphors. A marionette is someone with a very strict code of laws and morals, and what is right or wrong to do in the life. All this system of beliefs are needed to keep the marionette as far as possible from an hypothetical danger. But sooner or later, something will break up this routine, putting the hero of the story in a very awkward position. For me, this moment was the moment where I bumped into the book of Carl Gustav Jung. I believed in his words and in his work, and actually trusted him when I started the individuation process. For the past 5 years, I only listened to people who went through this trial, and make mine any possible tip or advice that could actually help me. Obviously, I'm still on the journey, because to a certain point you realize that life itself is an ongoing journey, without a stop or a break. But let's start from the very beginning and introduce Carl Gustav Jung. Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychologist of the last century, first student and after best mate of Sigmund Freud, who actually is the father of modern psychology. The relationship and the bond between the two was so great that Jung was nominated by Freud himself the natural heir of his pioneering work. The two took different ways in 1908, when Jung published his book Symbols of Transformation. Freud realized that his theory of the unconscious was literally torn apart by Jung's new discoveries, and since then the relationship will never be the same. During his constant research, Jung developed ideas and words like collective and personal unconscious, archetypes, synchronicity, and individuation. Words that nowadays are part of our common language, but we don't really have the grasp of their meanings and the possible implications in the day-to-day life. Today, I would like to discuss a bit more of the term individuation, starting from its meaning. He developed this idea as a study in many civilizations across time and space. He realized that every individual has to go through a process that we can resume in 3 steps. Leave his comfort zone, go through challenges, and come back home. The purpose of this process was to shape the character of the man or the woman, so that they could be able to serve the community and stand on their own legs. The most famous and ruthless of all was the one that took place in Sparta, where kids from the age of 7 have to leave the homes, and after a training in basic reading and writing, they focused on military practice, developing skills in run, wrestling, and also dancing. From the age of 12, boys would be given only one item of clothing per year, usually a cloak. Food rations were very poor. And stealing was also punished, but only for the ones who got caught. The hardship of this training increased until the age of 20, when the best and the chosen few they have to perform a killing, usually a slave, without being noticed. The purpose of this trial, from a Spartan point of view, was to shape individuals ready for the harshness of war and encourage hard work and merit. But how can individuation and studies of all traditions help the human beings in the 21st century? First of all, we need to understand in which society we live in. For the past 300 years, automation and technology have radically changed the way we see life. They move masses from nature to a man-made environment, forcing the human beings to undertake the same task every day only for the purpose of surviving, draining them of physical energies first, and as a consequence, psychic energies, leading our society to what is called nihilism. This process on a global scale led the world to lose faith in all traditions and values. Across the globe, all the religions have lost power and credibility, from Christianity to Buddhism and Hinduism as well. The only one that is gaining from this process seems to be the stock market, but the lack of faith in our democracies and institutions, it might be an early stage of what religions had already gone through. As individuals and cells of this system, we can clearly feel the impact that is having on our souls and day-to-day life. Consume of drugs, suicide, homicide, depression are on the rise across the Western societies. And our lifestyle became so quick and unbearable that led us to the famous quote, "There is enough time in the day." Last but not least, we should mention that in the US, for the first time in 60 years, life expectancy decreased rather than increase. Unfortunately and unconsciously, we are chasing all the signs and signals that this society is flashing at us. On the social media, on TV, on the advertising, everything is shiny, essential, and there is always a new object to buy, which most of the times we don't need. Seems that the old models don't work anymore. So rather than go outside, we should move inside to start to understand what we really need and what can set us free from the chains of this society. But which are the steps that we can actually do after describing this scenario? Obviously, my answer to this question is going to be the individuation process of Carl Gustav Jung. But first of all, we need to understand that this is not going to be easy. Nobody is asking us to do it. Not the society, not our friends, neither our relatives. There is only an inner voice that is telling us to look for answers, keep dig and search for the truth. If we don't suppress this inner voice, a completely new array of possibilities will open in front of us. The very first step to do is try to think differently. Step out the routine that we kept alive for the past years, locking ourselves in a mentality, thoughts, and attitude that we think to be our own nature, but in fact, these are the chains of the society. Everyone has his own way to step out of the routine, also called the comfort zone. Might be a trip, read a book, move to another country, leave your parents' home. But the most important act is to trust your spark that is directing you somewhere rather than the same usual routine. I will post a link underneath this video regarding this specific topic. Another step that really helped me and I still keep as my attitude is start a dialogue with your dreams. This is a bottomless theme that we can discuss further. But definitely, you should start to keep a dream diary or a notebook. And just for let you know that I'm not an hypocrite, these are all my notebooks that I've been keeping since 2021. If your dream is not so long, don't worry about it. Just write it down, even if it's only an image or just a picture. Why dreams? Because this is an experience that everyone can have. It's free and it speaks directly to you. Dreams are like myth, but bespoke to the dreamer, for understand what his daily conscience is missing. Dreams tell us about our spoken fears, emotions, and how to integrate them. Dreams can tell us about the future and what we can potentially become. Dreams always guided the human beings, from the biblical knowledge and experience of all the saints, initiation rites in heaven, Buddhist tradition, without mentioning all the shamanic traditions across the globe, the dreamlike narrative of the poet Coleridge, and last, but probably the more important, I don't know how many of you guys knows, that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde isn't the outcome of the rational mind, but in fact a dream. Only the final it was written by Stevenson, because his wife got scared. Apparently he must have had a very rough sleep, and wake him up just about the final scenes. So, if you ask why you should write down your dreams, it's because you might be in a world-famous novel, an option you didn't know existed until 10 minutes ago. But let's go back to our work. I'm gonna link few books regarding dreams underneath this video. This is the work of Jung and all his followers, which obviously I advise you to read. In case you don't dream and you don't remember your dreams, from tonight, when you go to sleep, and lay down, facing the ceiling, close your eyes and concentrate your energies on your forehead. And for 3 times, say, tomorrow I will remember my dream. Don't forget to keep a phone or a notebook and a pen next to your bed. So, in case you wake up at night, you can write down your dream straight away. The day after, make sure to write down your dream on the official diary. And slowly, day by day, you will realize that you will start to build up a relationship with a conscience that is living within you. So, I hope you liked this video and hopefully gave you enough reasons and confidence to start to dig a bit more into the mystery of humanity. I believe, as the title says, that we are at crossroads, and the only way for survive as individuals and society is start to understand ourselves. Look back at old traditions, but without forget the process that we are in. The work of sociologists like Jeremy Rifkin, René Girard, and Frédéric Léonard might help you to understand what is actually at stake. Go back in time, foresee the complexity of the human psyche, and be able to interpret it with a 2000 years experience, so that we can go into the future without lose all the achievements of modern society, but leaving behind that part of ourselves that still encourages separation, hate, and a possible nuclear war. I will make more videos about Carl Gustav Jung's work. So if you like this video, just be patient and see you soon.